Reports have revealed that the New York Yankees could be linked to Miami Marlins closer Tanner Scott, and further reports reveal that they could very well be the frontrunners to scoring this guy come trade deadline. We're going to get into all of that and more on this episode of Yankees Digest. Welcome in, I'm your host, Gabby Gordon, but before we get started, I just want to draw your attention to this stat. If you're among the 58.8% not subscribed to Yankees Digest, do yourself a favor, smash that subscribe button so that you never miss a video. But without further ado, let's get straight into business. Who is Tanner Scott? He's this guy. He is the current closer for the Miami Marlins, and he is having a terrific year, a career year for himself. He's been struggling a little bit as of late, but his ERA is beautiful at 1.50. And look, you just look at his stat line here. He's got a 5.45 win-to-loss percentage. He's got 36 innings pitched, only 2 homers allowed, 38 strikeouts, hits per 9, 4.5. So this kid is young, 29 years old. I can call him a kid still, right? And his height is 6 foot. And his ERA is really what strikes you here as a potential reliever option for the New York Yankees. Now, don't get me wrong here. I'm not saying that he should replace Clay Holmes. I think Clay Holmes has had a very, very decent season thus far, even a very good season thus far in pinstripes for the Yankees. But it is no doubt that the Bronx Bombers need bullpen depth, and they really need it very soon. It is something that has been addressed, and, Brian Cashman is obviously looking on the market now for what he can get, and Tanner Scott happens to be one of the guys they are eyeing the most here. Now, his control, as I mentioned just before, has been a bit off as of late. He's got 23 walks in 36 innings pitched. But again, he boasts a 1.50 ERA. He's got 38 strikeouts. And not to mention, he was also incredible last year. So this is consistency that we are seeing out of Tanner Scott. With a 2.31 ERA last season, he had 78 frames, 24 walks, and 104 strikeouts. So this is something that's very interesting. He's consistent in the aspect of ERA and strikeouts. Something that the Yankees have lacked a little bit is those swing and misses from not just the bullpen, but also our starters as of late. So this could be a decent depth type of bullpen guy who maybe Clay Holmes stays as the closer, and then you have Tanner Scott come throw a couple innings and get some swings and misses, and then you can see what you can work with in that aspect. It just gives them another leg of opportunity within the bullpen. Now, Ken Rosenthal is the guy who has really been reporting this potential trade that the Yankees are eyeing. Here's what he said. He said, quote, Tanner Scott is a popular name on the trade market, and the Marlins are virtually certain to trade him at the deadline. Then he goes on to say, the Yankees, Orioles, and Phillies are contending teams that are expressing interest in adding Scott to their bullpen mix. Again, that is Ken Rosenthal with that report. Now, we know the Marlins are not a great baseball team, and we know that they are definitely going to be sellers come trade deadline, and the Yankees obviously not going to be sellers come trade deadline. This is going to be a make-or-break type of trade deadline year for the New York Yankees in a situation where they are chasing after their 28th World Series title in organizational history, and Brian Cashman has got to go full speed ahead towards getting these guys that he wants. In the last episode that I had, we talked about Cody Bellinger, another trade target for the offensive side of things, but the bullpen needs an extra arm, and Tanner Scott could very well be that option. This is what the New York Yankees' current relieving situation looks like. This is the pitch count as of late, total pitches and what they're looking like. But I don't really want to focus on the pitch count necessarily, as more just the names you see here. Luke Weaver, Michael Tonkin, Caleb Ferguson, Tommy Kahnle, Jake Cousins, so on and so forth. Clay Holmes, of course, their closer in this list. But if you could add another name like Tanner Scott, who's been putting up the ERA he's been putting up and really coming through for the Marlins when it matters, this could be a huge, huge depth type of situation for this list of guys. And not to mention that the Yankees pitching ERA has also not looked great at all in the last couple of months. Look, they started off really strong in March, only 4 games, a 2 ERA, right? 3.22 in April through 27 games. Then it went back down in May, very good season month of the season for the Yankees in the month of May, 28 games and a 2.37. And then, of course, the month of June that we have just escaped. Thank goodness for that. July is a clean page, but it hasn't really started off on a clean slate. They look like the same old Yankees from June after that loss to the Reds last night. Pitching has just not been there from June and beyond for the New York Yankees. So this is a time where, yes, offense is certainly in need, but so is pitching. And this is something that the Yankees really have to focus on heading into the trade deadline is what can we get with the guys that we have? Well, this is what you have so far, right? You've got a 5.26 ERA with the guys you have right now, and that's not going to win you a World Series. Just simply isn't. Now, if you look again, I want to show you again, July so far through one game, a 5 ERA. That's not good stuff, right? You let up 2 home runs in one game, 5 runs, right? 4 walks. Another thing that's really interesting to note from this is a lot of hit batters. The month of June, the Yankees hit 24 batters. That is almost a league high, and that is a concerning statistic. When you're hitting batters, guess what? They're on base. And when they're on base, guess what? You move them around the bases, and guess what? There's more room for mistakes and then runs score. And that's really been the story of June for the Yankees, and they're sitting at second place right now in the American League East. They're battling behind the Orioles, who are playing phenomenal baseball as well. And look, this is a time where you really have to start, if you're Brian Cashman at least, have to start to step up your thinking, be aggressive. Tanner Scott could be a great option, an absolutely great option. I just want to show you his stats again, because look, he could be a really, really, really good fit for this bullpen. Again, look at this ERA, 1.50. Not a singular Yankee in the bullpen right now has an ERA that is sitting at 1.50. And he doesn't really hit batters as well. The only inconsistency that he may have has to do with walks and just location. But if he can get swings and misses, that is a part to the bullpen that the Yankees haven't had in a couple of months. You're not really seeing those swings and misses as of late out of relievers, and even out of your starters, you're not really seeing that. Carlos Rodon is on the mound tonight. We'll see if he can step things up, but this is certainly a trade target that I really think the Yankees have to pursue here. To see Tanner Scott in pinstripes could potentially be a spark the bullpen needs, because at the end of the day, your bullpen is all you have after your pitcher is done for the night or the day or whatever the case is, right? So if you can't rely on those guys to finish out a game, you can't really rely on them to win many games. You know what I'm saying? So it's really important that Brian Cashman goes after this. Now, the reports are real, and the Yankees are showing interest, and I'm sure there's been discussions with the Marlins, and they're going to want a big chunk of value for this guy, and I don't doubt him at all. I don't blame him in that aspect. The Yankees have to, at this point, be buyers. They have to go after it, and they got to beat the teams in the race, right? You saw the Yamamoto race against the Dodgers. The Yankees fell short, and what were you left with? Well, you're left with a rotation that looks like this right now that's really not capable of going to a World Series, or at least winning a World Series for that matter. So Brian Cashman's got to be aggressive. He's got to be smart. He's got to be assertive. He's got to go after these guys. Tanner Scott could be a great fit in pinstripes for New York. That's going to do it for this video on Yankees Digest. I've been your host, Gabby Gordon. Once again, if you like what you see, if you want to continue to watch us cover all things New York Yankees, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. It means the absolute world to us as we're slowly building this channel. You could be one of our very first OG fans or followers, or just give us some support. It means the absolute world. With that all being said, I'm Gabby Gordon, and I'll see you in the next one.